Hey soccer players! Today I would like to talk to you about goals, expectations, and impossibly high, unrealistic expectations of perfection. Sounds super fun, right? Goals. Goals are really, really important to have. Goals are things that we set in order to move us towards a desired outcome. So we pick something that we want, something that we want to achieve, and we put it down on paper or we put it somewhere so that we can move towards it. That's what goals are. So expectations are completely different. And expectations are basically the standards or the things that you demand from yourself on game day or on the practice field or moving towards your goal, right? So they're different from goals in that a goal is a thing that I'm trying to move towards. It's a desired outcome. But I myself do not always have full control over whether I meet that goal or not. I have partial control. There's things that I can do. Those things that I have partial control over when I'm moving towards a goal, those are the expectations. Those are the standards and things I can demand for myself. Why? Because I can only demand from myself something that is fully within my control. Because if I go out into the soccer field and I start demanding from myself things that I can't control, let's say perfect passing or score a goal every game, if I demand that from myself, I will be able to do it some days, but other days I'm not going to be able to make it happen. Essentially then, I am demanding from myself something that I do not have full control over, and that basically puts other people in charge of whether I meet my expectations or standards of myself that day. And that is not good because I don't have any control over what other people are doing. So I kind of get myself in this cycle where I am demanding for myself something that I do not have full control over. And that sets me up to perpetually feel inadequate because I can't always control whether I meet that thing or not. Goals are really important, but we have to make sure that we're really understanding things instead of just saying, okay, my goal is that I have to make this team, or my goal is that I need to score in every match, because I don't actually have total control over whether those things happen or not. And if those are my goals and the things I'm expecting from myself, then like I just said, I'm gonna feel bad, right? Sometimes I'll get it, but like I can't control whether I get it every time. Let's just use tryouts as an example here. If my goal is to make a certain team, that's great. I should have that goal because what it does is it gives me something to push towards, right? It gives me something to put my energy towards and to work towards. When I go to that tryout, I need to be mentally prepared and I need to have thought through this beforehand. But my expectation of myself cannot be to make that team. That's where it starts to get sticky and also where you don't put in your best performance. So if I'm going to that tryout with the goal of making a certain team, my expectation of myself needs to be only things that I can control, only things that I would feel good about if I did, like I would let my confidence be attached to those things, and things that I can do no matter what, nobody can stop me from doing. That's all that I can demand for myself on the tryout day. So let's give some examples. I'm gonna say that my expectations of myself on game day are to run my very hardest to the end of every pass, challenge for every 50-50 ball, increase the volume on my communication, like be loud, and let's just say like leave it all in the field, right? Like empty the tank, like leave everything I've got there, right? Work super hard. So those things, running hard to get to the end of passes, challenging for all 50-50 balls, speaking up and being loud, and then like working super hard, those are all things that I do have full control over and that nobody on that field can stop me from doing. That's what I can expect from myself today. That's what I can demand from myself. Those are my standards. If I go out there and do those things, I agree to let myself feel good about my performance that day. That's how you leave a tryout feeling confident. I say that my confidence is attached to those expectations and I make sure that those expectations are things that I can control. So we understand that. So we also now understand why I can't expect from myself the goal, right? Saying I'm only the standards or demands that I have of myself is to make that team. If I get sucked into that way of thinking, I'm not focused on the controllables, which means I'm thinking in the future and I'm not present moment focused, and I'm not actually even able to put in my best performance. So having a really clear understanding of goals and expectations actually helps you play better. Like no joke, it helps you put in a better performance. The other thing that I haven't mentioned here yet is the third piece, and this is another type of expectation, and this is impossibly high, unrealistic expectations of perfection. The trick here is that, of course, You have high expectations of yourself. You should, right? That's the only way you're gonna get good. But the trick is that many players think that they have high expectations, which is what I was just talking about, right? The things you can actually control, the things that you can demand from yourself. They think that that's what they have, but guess what? Most of their expectations are these impossibly high, unrealistic expectations of perfection. And when we have those, that's when we're going out into the field every day, kind of like demanding that goal. If I demand a goal for myself, that is an impossibly high, unrealistic expectation of perfection. I'm basically setting myself up to fail, right? Like, because some days I'll get the thing. Let's say my impossibly high, unrealistic expectation of perfection is no errors at the game today. Sometimes that'll happen, right? Like if I'm playing a team that's just not very good, or, speed of play is slow, like I might have a perfect game, perfect game. I might, right? So great, I feel good. But then the second I play a tough opponent who's actually challenging me, I'm not going to have that perfect game. And if my expectation of myself is perfection, then guess what? I already failed. I'm already done. Like I can't meet my impossibly high, unrealistic expectation for the day. We have goals, then we have expectations, which can be, those are the high expectations. Those are the controllable things. Those are the things you can demand from yourself. And then we have impossibly high, unrealistic expectations of perfection, which could actually be tied to the goals that we just talked about. They're kind of similar, it's just explaining it a little different way. Let's say that my goal, or the thing I'm driving towards, is to put the ball in the back of the net every game, right? This is a good goal. Like you should have the goal to score goals. For sure, if you're an attacker, like even if you're not, like we should be trying to score goals. That's like the whole purpose of playing soccer, right? So that could be our goal, but what I demand from myself in that final third, what I can actually control, my high expectations and the things that I allow my confidence to be attached to, because we don't want our confidence to only be attached to whether we score that goal or not. We want our confidence to be attached to the controllable things so that, again, we're in charge of our confidence. But let's go into the final third here, okay? So in the final third, trying to score a goal, picking my head up, checking in and out of space, communicating with my teammates, looking for opportunity, following up shots, making decisions about where to shoot, making decisions about placement. You also wouldn't be able to feel like passion and excitement, all of those things. If I go into the final third and I pick my head up, I'm checking in and out of space, I'm talking to my teammates, I'm creating opportunity by moving, I'm following up shots, I'm, getting my body over the ball, I'm choosing where I'm going to place it. The controllable things usually have to do with like effort or decision making most of the time. If I'm doing all those things and I hit a banger of a shot, great shot, but the goalie's just 8 feet taller, having like the best day of her life, and she makes the save, I'm going to be disappointed. So anyway, I do all the controllable things. I take a shot, goalie saves it. I'm disappointed, okay? The difference here is that I am disappointed in the result and what happened. I am not disappointed in myself, nor is this impacting my confidence, nor is this taking away from what I just did, because I met my expectations in that situation. I went out and did everything that I could. And this is how we start to separate self-worth from performance, because this can get really tangly. Like our self-worth can get really wrapped up in what we produce on the field. And that's kind of a red flag. And it's something that we really need to pay attention to, because a healthy relationship with the game means that you're able to go out into the field, to compete, to drive, to be passionate about things, to be passionate about putting the ball in the back of the net, to be passionate about making saves at the other end of the field, but at the same time understand that as long as I'm doing everything that I can control and constantly trying to figure out what else I can control and get better at that, right? As long as I'm doing all of that, if the result of the game doesn't go my way, or I don't meet my goal, which might be to win the game or to score a goal or to, have a clean sheet, that I will ultimately be okay. That's a healthy relationship with the game. And when we can do that and just use it as drive and motivation to get back up and keep working and keep trying, and that allows us to find joy in the process. When we do that, that is how we actually start to detangle, separate self-worth from performance. That is the only way that if you want to stay in soccer for a long time, that you're gonna make it. Because yeah, you gotta take your game seriously, of course, but you also need to be able to be lighthearted and find joy in the process. And when your self-worth is tangled up with how you performed every second of every day, that stuff is really hard to do. Okay, you guys were great. Story time is over for the day. As a refresher, today's story was about goals, expectations, and impossibly high, unrealistic expectations of perfection, how they all work together. And I kind of forgot to say this earlier, but why goals are really important to have. Even if we don't meet that goal, they're really important because they keep us driving towards it, right? Doing the controllable things that will move us towards that thing. And even if we get there and we're like, I don't really want this goal anymore, I want to change, we still did all of the things we could control and worked hard for a long time to kind of move us towards that. So it was still like a worthwhile process, right? Like if your goal is to score more goals, you got to go out and practice how to score more. So if you do that, even if you don't score the goal, you still gained all that practice, right? So you're still moving towards that version of the player and person you want to be. Thank you for joining me. All of this content and all of the things I'm talking about and all of these reframes, these are all things that we teach soccer players to do so that they can actually have that healthy relationship with the game and not just be mentally well, but use mental skills and use mentality and use reframes and use new perspectives to coach themselves through hard things on the field. And that actually results in them playing better. And yes, your player can learn these concepts. See you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.